The friends thought the nightmare was over when they left Blackwood Forest, but some doors once opened can never be shut, and some evils refuse to stay buried. After narrowly escaping the lamplighters and their demonic ritual, Dylan, Zoe, Maya, and Lucas try to return to normal life. But strange occurrences begin to plague them, making it clear that the horrors of Blackwood Forest have followed them home. In this chilling continuation, the group realizes the cult's curse is far from over. It started with dreams, fragmented flashes of the forest, the demon's red eyes, and the chant of the cultists. Zoe woke in a cold sweat every night, the echoes of their eerie mantra lingering in her ears. She didn't tell the others at first, afraid they'd think she was losing her mind. But then Lucas started seeing shadows in the corners of his apartment, figures standing still just out of sight. Maya's reflection in mirrors would twist into a grotesque version of herself, her mouth whispering words she couldn't hear. And Dylan's phone would buzz with static-filled voicemails, a distorted voice repeating the same word, return. "It's happening to all of us," Zoe said one night, gathering the group in her dimly lit living room. "We never truly left that place." "This is insane," Lucas muttered, pacing. "We destroyed the lantern. We saw the cult leave. It's over." "Then why do I feel like we're being watched?" Maya asked, her voice shaking. "Everywhere I go, it's like something is following me." "Because something is," Dylan said grimly. He pulled out his phone and played one of the voicemails. The distorted voice sent chills down their spines. "Return," it repeated. The group decided to investigate, hoping to find answers and put an end to the haunting once and for all. They started with online research, digging into local legends and stories about the lamplighters. What they found chilled them to the core. The cult didn't just summon demons, Zoe read aloud from an old newspaper clipping. They bound them to people, sacrifices. The demon would feed on their souls and follow them wherever they went. "Are you saying we're sacrifices?" Lucas asked, his voice cracking. "Not yet," Dylan said. "But if we don't stop this, we might be." "How do we stop it?" Maya asked. "There's no lantern this time, no symbols to break." "There has to be something," Zoe said, her eyes scanning the article. "Wait, it says here that the binding can be broken if the demon's tether to this world is severed. The cult's artifacts." "You mean we have to go back?" Dylan said. It wasn't a question. The others fell silent. The idea of returning to Blackwood Forest made their blood run cold, but they knew they had no choice. The group returned to the forest armed with flashlights, salt, and whatever weapons they could find. The woods were even darker than they remembered, the trees seeming to lean closer together, their branches clawing at the night sky. "Stick together," Dylan whispered as they made their way deeper into the forest. It didn't take long for the fog to return, swallowing the path and muffling their footsteps. The oppressive silence was broken only by the distant sound of chanting. "They're still here," Zoe said, her voice trembling. The chanting grew louder as they approached the heart of the forest. The altar was gone, but in its place stood a circle of lanterns, their crimson light casting long shadows across the ground. In the center was a new artifact, a blackened mask, its surface etched with the same twisting symbols from the altar. "That must be it," Dylan said, his grip tightening on the bat he carried. As they stepped closer, the chanting stopped. The forest seemed to hold its breath. Then the cultists emerged from the shadows, their faces hidden behind masks identical to the one on the ground. "It's a trap," Lucas hissed. "No turning back now," Maya said, raising the crowbar she carried. The cultists moved as one, closing in on the group. The friends fought desperately, swinging their weapons and trying to hold them off. Zoe darted toward the mask, determined to destroy it. "Cover me!" she shouted. Dylan and Lucas formed a barrier, pushing back the cultists as best they could. Zoe grabbed the mask and raised it above her head, ready to smash it against a rock. But as she did, the demon's roar shook the forest, and a wave of darkness surged toward her. The mask burned in her hands, the symbols glowing with a fiery light. "Zoe, do it now!" Dylan yelled. With a scream, Zoe hurled the mask to the ground. It shattered into pieces, the light from the lanterns flaring before extinguishing completely. The darkness receded, and the cultists collapsed where they stood, their masks falling away to reveal empty, hollow faces. The forest was silent once more. As the first rays of dawn broke through the trees, the friends stumbled out of the forest, battered but alive. They didn't speak as they walked back to town, the weight of what they'd endured pressing down on them. "It's over," Zoe said quietly, though she didn't sound convinced. Dylan nodded, but his eyes lingered on the forest. "Let's hope it stays that way." They parted ways, each silently vowing never to speak of Blackwood Forest again. But deep down, they knew some doors, once opened, can never truly be closed. Survived the terror. Subscribe and join us for the next chilling tale.